Hello students, here we are with some of the questions from electrolysis, and these usually comes for 1 marks in your examination. So with the explanation we are going to solve these questions one by one. So see the first question, what does the word electro means? Now why this question becomes little confusing is because right now you know that the topic is electrolysis, so definitely you are going to write the answer as electric current, but if it comes along with other chapters then there are chances that you may write the answer as electron. So always remember that the word electro means electric current. Okay, question number 2 is the reason for conduction in electrolytes is. Now in the previous videos I told you that there are 3 conditions that you should know. In the case of strong electrolyte, what you have to do is, in the case of strong electrolytes, the reason for conductivity is only ions. You know that the reason is ions. But if we talk about your weak electrolyte, there it's molecules. Okay, there it's molecules. But if we talk about weak electrolyte, so in the case of weak electrolyte, what you are going to find is both molecules as well as ions. So both of the things will be there in the case of weak electrolyte. But here the question is the reason for conduction in electrolyte is. Now remember that since it is conducting, it means we are not at all talking about these molecules. We are not talking about molecules. We are only talking about ions. So the answer will be the reason for conduction in electrolyte is ions. You don't have to mention what? You don't have to mention their molecules, because molecules comes in the case of non-electrolyte. In the case of weak electrolyte, what you have to mention is both molecules as well as ions. Now see the next question. The next question is a non-electrolyte are composed of. See, when we are talking about non-electrolyte, the question here is composed of. It means we are talking about that electrolytic process only. Okay, we are talking about electrolytic process. So in the electrolytic process, what does non-electrolyte contains? They contains only molecules. Before this only we discussed that it contains only molecules, and that is the reason why they do not conduct. Why? Because for conductivity you need ions. What do you need? You need ions. But in the case of non-electrolyte, what you are getting is you are getting molecules, and molecules do not conduct. And I gave you the examples like glucose, urea, alcohol. All these are the examples of your non-electrolyte. So hope so the answer is clear. Now see the next question. The negative electrode is called dash. Now I told you that what you have to remember in this is C goes to C and A goes to A. Now try to remember what is the charge on cation. Cation is positive. It means when it migrates toward cathode, cathode should be negatively charged. So what is the negative electrode here? Negative electrode here is cathode. But if the question there is what is the positive electrode, then in that case you should know that anions are negatively charged, so anode is positively charged. Anode is positively charged. So in this question you have got the answer of 2 questions. Actually the negative electrode is cathode and the positive electrode is your anode. Hope so the answer is clear. Next question, the oxidizing electrode is a dash. For this, in the previous video I told you to remember the word CARE. CARE, the word care. I said you to remember. Why? This will give you the answer of cathode. Cathode is reducing electrode, and the question is what is oxidizing electrode there. Okay, so by the help of this word care, you can remember that cathode means reducing electrode, and for the oxidizing electrode the answer will be anode. This is the answer for this question. So you have to remember the word care. Cathode is a reducing electrode, and the converse of it is the oxidizing electrode is your anode. In this way you can remember. Now moving on to next question, dash gains electrons at cathode. Right now only we discussed that C moves toward C. Okay, so it's given their cathode, so definitely the answer will be cations. Cations gain electron at cathode. If you want, it can give you a reaction. C, Na positive is an cation, then what does? It adds 1 electrons and get neutralized to give you what? Na, and this gets decomposed at cathode. So remember that cation adds electron. Okay, and if there is a question that loses electron, then the answer will be opposite of this, that anion loses electron where? A to A means at anode. In this way you can remember this question. Next question is solid sodium chloride is a dash. Now see, what is NaCl? Na positive, Cl negative. But here we are talking about solid sodium chloride. Remember that solid sodium chloride cannot decompose into ion. Why? Because there is a strong electrostatic force of attraction there. Okay, strong electrostatic force of attraction. They will do they will undergo decomposition in the case they are in the your molten state or in the aqueous state. So here the answer will be solid sodium chloride is a non. Remember, it's a non electrolyte. It's a non electrolyte. But if the same thing is in your aqueous state or your molten state, then you have to write that it is a electrolyte. But here the question is solid sodium chloride is a dash, means solid sodium chloride is a non electrolyte. What is the condition for it to become an electrolyte? It should be in the aqueous or in molten state. This was one of a important question there. The answer for the next question already I give you. Ions are held together by dash. Remember that whenever it's the case of ions, they are held together by a strong electrostatic force of attraction. Remember, strong electrostatic force of attraction, and this type of force is not found in covalent structures. Okay, next now let's move on to next question. HCl is a dash covalent in nature. In class 9th you already know that HCl, NH3, what are these type of compound? These are covalent compound, but they develop polarity. Okay, they develop polarity. That is why we call them as polar covalent structure. So the answer here will be polar. Okay, in the space you have to write polar. What is the overall answer? HCl is a polar covalent in nature. Next question also we discussed. Weak electrolytes are composed of, you know that here you won't get a single answer. The answer will be both ions and molecules. But remember that I told you that the maximum dissociation in case of weak electrolyte can go for 5%, and that is also in the case of in the drastic condition. Most what to say that all in the extreme condition they go for 5%. Normally they don't even go for 5%. It means the majority there will be of molecules only, केवल molecules के. Clear? Molecules की majority क्या होगी आपकी? ज़्यादा होगी, और less majority होगी आपके कह सकते हैं less quantity में आपके पास क्या आने वाले हैं? Ions. So the in smaller quantity you are going to get ions, and in higher quantity you are going to get molecules. That is why the conductivity will be less. Conductivity less हो रही है किस कारण से? क्योंकि आपके आयंस कम है और मॉलिक्यूल्स बहुत ज़्यादा हैं, लेकिन थोड़ा बहुत कंडक्टिविटी होगी क्योंकि वहाँ पर आयंस भी हैं. तो यहाँ पर आपका क्वेश्चन का आंसर क्या बन जाता है? देखिए, आंसर विल बी आयंस एंड मॉलिक्यूल्स. ओके, बट यू रिमेंबर दैट मेजॉरिटीज ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स एंड आयंस आर इन लेस क्वांटिटी. दैट यू हैव टू कीप इन योर माइंड. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज OH negative hydroxide ions will discharge quickly then. Remember that OH minus, from OH minus what you have to see is you have to see for the ions which are above OH negative. Okay, why? Because the ion which is at the lower position, I told you that you have to look on to the lower position. So above OH negative every ion will discharge later than it. It means you can go for sulfate, you can go for nitrate, you can go for chloride ions like this. These are some of the answers. If there is mentioned that you have to write only one answer, you can go for sulfate, or you can go for nitrate, even you can go for chloride. So the answer can be OH negative will discharge quickly than sulfate, or OH negative will discharge quickly than chloride. In this way you can answer any of the ion as one of the answer, but remember that they should occupy a higher position compared to hydroxide ion. Okay, this is the answer for this question. You have multiple answers for that. If it comes in the examination, you can write any of the ion above OH negative. Next question is Cu is an dash type of electrode. You know that electrodes are of two types. They are active electrode and inert electrode. Like graphite is an inert electrode, but here we are talking about copper electrode. So here the answer will be copper is an active. This is an active electrode. Okay, but if you talk about electrode like that of graphite, so remember that graphite comes under your inert electrode. Inert electrode means they don't give you product at anode. But in the case of active electrode, whatever will be the metal of that electrode, it will discharge its own ion at anode. There you go, you won't go for preferential discharge, because definitely what will be the product at anode, it will be the ions of that active electrode, but that does not happens in the case of your inert electrode like graphite. So the answer here will be copper electrode is an active type of electrode. Next question there is, metals are generally refined by dash. Now here we are talking about metals, and you know that after this there is a question metallurgy. Okay, so metals are generally refined by the process of electrolysis. Remember that electrolysis is used for metals, because you want in the metallurgy, after this you will study about metallurgy. Metallurgy is the profitable extraction of metal from their ores. Okay, but there also, since we use electric current, that is why this question is here in your chapter number 5. So remember that metals are generally refined by electrolysis. The process there, it is metallurgy, but what process we are using for metals normally is electrolysis. With the help of electric current, what we do, we obtain the metal from their ores. The most highly electropositive element is for them, the must condition is electric current there to get the metal from the respective oxides. Okay, so the answer for this is metals are generally refined by electrolysis. Now the last one word question here is, HgO can be reduced to Hg by dash alone. Again, this is a question which normally comes in your metallurgy part. This mercuric oxide can be reduced to mercury by dash. Now what you have to keep in your mind, there are 3 levels. Okay, the first level is of highly electropositive, second level is of less electropositive, and last one is of least electropositive. So your mercury, silver, all these comes under your least electropositive, and for them heat alone is sufficient. Remember that heat alone is sufficient there. So HgO can be reduced to Hg by your heat alone. If you just give them heat, they will get separated from their oxide. Okay, so for the last question, the answer is heat alone, means mercuric oxide can be reduced to mercury by heat alone. So these were some of the questions which were important from your electrolysis chapter, and they come for 1 marks. In the examination, normally you get 4 options there, but even if you don't get the option there, in this way you can solve these questions. So till then, keep growing, keep studying. Thanks for watching the video.